Let's actually read chapter 1, shall we? For those who are just tuning in, I'm Papa Roxy. This is my YouTube channel. I'm also known as the King of the Ferals. I'm on Facebook. Check it out sometime. And I'm reading Staci Haines, A Mind-Body Approach to Healing Sexual Trauma, for some of our members. And we're working through some trauma together. So I'm trying to do some reading for people who don't have access to libraries or otherwise get access to this book because I think it's that important. So, Chapter 1, Safety, Somatics, and Sexual Healing. The choice to heal. Is your sexuality a healthy and integrated part of you? Can you talk easily about sex, your sexual desires, and your sexual healing and needs? Are you able to know and communicate your sexual boundaries? These are admittedly leading questions. Many survivors do not have a good reference point for their own sexual well-being and pleasure. And why should you? Childhood sexual abuse is not what you might call positive input about sex or your own sexuality. To begin this process of sexual recovery, it is vital to know why you want to embark on this journey. What do you want to gain from healing sexually? How do you want your sex life to be different? It took me a long time, and these are quotes from members that were interviewed for this book. It took me a long time to decide to heal sexually. I kept thinking, why go through all of that? Sex, I can take it or leave it, but something kept tugging at me like a part of me wanted to be whole again. Hannah. Motivations for healing. So why heal sexually anyway? What do you want in your sex life that you do not have now? What would it be like to not find triggers around every corner? To fully express sexual pleasure and expression? Ask yourself these questions. What motivated me initially is that I couldn't say no. I was having sex with people I did not want to have sex with. I was looking for attention and acknowledgement through sex. At first, I just wanted and needed to stop doing this. Then, slowly, it began to dawn on me that I could actually have sex based on what I wanted and needed. That I could have sex that I liked. Kathy. Some motivations for healing will sustain you through the process better than others. Deciding to heal because you think you are bad or dirty or believe there is something wrong with you won't necessarily serve your cause. Most folks eventually tune out negative motivations or rebel against them. Developing a positive motivation is more sustaining and will give you a vision to work toward. If you are unable to think of positive motivations, ask a friend or support person to help you brainstorm at least 3 positive reasons to heal sexually. Many survivors want to heal to save their relationship or please their partner. Perhaps your partner wants to have sex, but you don't. While sex is an important part of any intimate partnership, you need to develop motivations that are just for you. Pressure from a partner can make it difficult to tell whether you are really making a choice. Encouragement is wonderful, but you will have to want to do the work. You will not speed up the healing process by having sex that is forced, dissociated, or checked out. So here's some positive motivations for sexual healing. I want to gain a freedom in my body. I want to be able to move, make noise, and express myself fully. I want to heal the shame that runs my sex life so that I can feel relaxed and excited during sex. I want my body back all the way. I want pleasure and being present in my sex life to be the norm instead of fear and checking out. I want to have sex in the ways I am interested in. I want to be more courageous sexually. I want to be able to respect and communicate my sexual boundaries. I want to learn that I am loved for me and not for sex alone. I want to have sex and intimacy at the same time. All very valid reasons. I didn't want him to leave me. He had been so good through this whole mess. I just wanted to please him. The sex wasn't even good when I did it just for him. But at least I was giving him sex. I thought I couldn't heal just to make him stay, though. It was only when I turned into how my life could be different, how I might feel more positively about myself, that I made any progress in sex. Sheila. Last, you do not need to have a sexual partner to be actively sexual. Nor does sexual healing have to wait for a lover. The concepts and exercises outlined in this book apply to you whether you are partnered or single. Many people do much of their sexual healing work on their own, and then move into relationships with new tools and knowledge. The decision to heal sexually is a choice to reclaim an aspect of yourself that has been wounded and used. It is a choice to make whole again a very powerful and vital aspect of your being. The process can be extremely uncomfortable, yet it can give you amazing freedom, pleasure, and satisfaction. It can give you back. Safety and sexual healing. Safety is an odd concept for most survivors of childhood sexual abuse. I'm usually met with raised eyebrows when I ask survivors about feeling safe and being sexual. Incest and childhood sexual abuse are frightening experiences that undermine the development of your sense of safety in yourself, your body, your relationships, your sexuality, and the world. When it comes to sex, I am terrified. People talk about safety, and I can't relate to that. Feeling safe and having sex seem to live in two separate worlds. Carla. Safety is complicated for survivors. During the abuse, your safety was out of your hands. If you could have done anything to make it stop, you would have. Really, the intelligent mistake you, like most survivors, probably made as a kid was thinking that you had some control over your safety. You didn't. Children are manipulated, coerced, threatened, and forced into sexual abuse, sometimes under the guise of love. Now look for a place in your body where you feel a sense of peace, strength, or well-being. Do you feel the strength in the palm of your hands? A sense of well-being in your right hip? Where do you feel comfortable? Where do you feel your body comfortably settling? A sense of openness or spaciousness. Look for the literal sensations. What are they? If you are unable to find a place in your body where you experience comfort, find something outside of your body. Think of your favorite animal, a beautiful color, a person you love, a place in nature, or something you love to do, like singing, skiing, or surfing. Notice what happens in your body. Does a smile come across your face? Notice a feeling of warmth spread across your chest or back. Maybe your hips relax and get warm. These sensations are the building blocks for your sense of internal well-being. You can call these your sensations of safety or pleasure, well-being, or resourcefulness. These are what we will use in building a strong internalized sense of safety. Bring your attention back to these sensations again. Have they changed at all? Sensations in the body are alive and shifting all the time. Place your attention on your body and look openly at where you feel those resourceful sensations. Now, what are these sensations like? Are they moving? Now practice making these sensations smaller. Can you shrink them down and bigger? Can you expand that warmth and spaciousness? What is it like to sit and breathe with these resourceful sensations for 30 seconds? Try this now. I will ask you throughout the book to call forth these sensations of safety. The more you notice them, the more apparent and present they will become. Noticing these sensations does not make other sensations, feeling of fear, and anger, or triggers go away. Rather, it gives you a safe place to approach them from. By accessing these sensations again and again, you can build an internalized sense of safety or resourcefulness to return to when facing challenging moments in your healing, or even when you are having sex. So, I think that this would be a good time for everyone to, I'll fix my hair, I know it's crazy, to do as she asked and take 30 seconds, pause the video, and try to find that sensation in your body of warmth and safety and strength. Okay? I'll do it myself. I have a lot of feelings in my hands, so that's where a lot of warmth is happening right now. I don't know where it will be for you, but I hope that you find it, and pause the video now. Okay? Paused it? Great. And welcome back. What's down this road anyway? Your sexual healing process will be affected by many factors, including the particular abuse you experienced, who the perpetrators were, and the quality of support available to you then and now. The information or misinformation you have received about sex will also come into play. Your cultural class, and religious background will help frame the uniqueness of your journey. If you're raised Catholic, you'll have a different set of issues to grapple with than someone raised in a non-religious household. Your experience of social bias and oppression add to the mix. I was raised Catholic. It's true. It's The pain and uncertainty of incest felt very much like the insecurities of being a person of color, a woman, and gay in this culture. The result is disempowerment. Lee. Expect to experience a gamut of emotions. Terror, rage, grief, and guilt will have their turns alongside new types of excitement, pleasure, and desire. Issues and emotions that you thought you had dealt with long ago may arise. At times, you may feel like you are going backwards. Do not be discouraged. This is normal in the sexual healing process. Because you are now healing the very arena in which you were abused, issues of boundaries, consent, disassociation, and triggers are necessarily a part of the work. As I began to focus on being sexual and recovering this part of me, I found myself dealing with being afraid of people again and not being able to sit still. These seemed unrelated to my sexual healing at first, but they were just a new layer of fears to work through in being more sexual. Jeannie. I have worked a lot on being able to stay present and not disappear, and I've made a lot of progress. The hardest part of sexual healing is dealing with how I shut down. Staying present during sex is a whole new thing. Terry. You can think of sexual healing as a graduate level recovery. Although I remembered my sexual abuse during sex and remained sexually active throughout most of my process, I am 7 years into my healing and just now getting into the real stuff of sex. I am now giving myself permission to really express myself sexually, learning to be in my body during sex, and getting a glimpse of what intimacy and sex combined could be like. Danielle. Your healing process will most likely proceed at an uneven pace. You'll find that there will be times of intense focus and times of rest. Sometimes you just have to attend to other aspects of your life. You'll develop a rhythm of moving into and then back out of the work of sexual healing. Hot spots in healing. Along the way, you may have to grapple with some difficult contradictions. You may find that there are aspects of the abuse that were physically pleasurable to you. You may have come to orgasm during the abuse. Or you may have loved the attention you received. Your perpetrators may have deliberately turned you on. You are not bad, wrong, or to blame. Sexual and sensual response is normal and healthy. Your body and sexuality did not betray you. Your perpetrators did. My orgasms have been very hard to come by. My abuser brought me to orgasm as a part of his game. I've had to practice forgiving myself over and over again, just acknowledging that my body responded like any healthy body would. Chantel. You may have engaged in non-consensual sex play with other children. Sometimes children who are being abused act out the abuse on other children or even pets. This may have been sexually arousing or erotic to you, and you may carry feelings of guilt and shame. Facing each of these experiences is part of the healing and self-forgiveness required to free yourself. My family would hang out with my younger cousins in the summer. The second year my dad was abusing me, I started touching my cousins. It's like I was trying to work out what was happening to me. Dale. Or Dee Dee. Sorry, not Dale. You may enjoy some sexual acts now that were perpetrated on you as a child and dislike others. You may be simultaneously attracted to and repulsed by certain fantasies related to your abuse. Your sexual desires, fantasies, and sexual responses are affected by the abuses you suffered, as well as other personal, family, and social influences in your life. One of the most important factors in sexual healing is returning choice and consent to your sex life. Allowing yourself to discover what you like and enjoy sexually, and mending the self-blame and guilt that so often permeate desire are both parts of the process of recovery. I felt guilt for a long time about enjoying anal sex. I thought I was acting out the abuse because he raped me like that, and because it is unconventional, I think. Now I realize that I just like it. It feels good to me. I don't think I am acting out by liking kissing, and he did that too. Marty. somebody to lean on, self-care and support. You didn't get hurt alone, and you can't heal alone. Support is essential to any healing process. Isolation plays a key role in childhood sexual abuse. Most children never tell what is happening to them, and many who do tell are not believed or given adequate support. Adult survivors tend to continue to live in isolation. Coming out of isolation means coming into relationships. This, in and of itself, is a part of healing sexually. Gaining support in your sexual healing breaks the double taboo. You will be talking not only about childhood sexual abuse, but also about sex. While sex is overexposed in the media, we don't often sit down and tell each other the truth about our sex lives. Most people, survivors or not, have healing to do in the area of sexuality. The upside of this is that most people are relieved to talk about sex and sexual healing once someone else races the topic. They too are glad to explore what is so often left unexamined. Support includes both self-care and a community to be held by. Let's start with self-care. Good thing for you guys, you're already a part of a community if you're watching this, because you should be a part of Barrels After Dark. Self-care. Learning to care for yourself well is a lifelong journey. Your needs will change over time, and you will get better at it with practice. There are many different aspects of your life, of yourself to take care of. Your body, your emotional and mental well-being, your financial life, your spiritual life, your family and relationships, your mission or meaning in life, your career, your sexuality, and your healing. See, we're on a theme here. Here I'm going to focus on the fundamentals of self-care. Attending to these fundamentals will give you a foundation to build upon during the challenging and exciting times of sexual healing. Eat, drink, sleep, and be merry. Eating well can be a challenge for many survivors. Aim for 2 to 3 good meals a day, including plenty of fruits, vegetables, and protein. Drinking at least 8 glasses of water a day will help flush your body out toxins that are released in the process of deep emotional work. Sleep regularly, 7 to 10 hours at night, and include pleasure in your life. What makes you smile or laugh? What brings that sense of warmth or comfort to your body? Perhaps you enjoy petting your cat, dancing, feeling the warmth of the sun, taking a luxurious hot bath. Do something pleasurable at least once per week. Notice your enjoyment. I encourage that as well. Let your body move. Movement, including walking, biking, aerobic workouts, dancing, or running, can have a profound effect on your physical and emotional health. Movement oxygenates your body and increases your circulation. This helps in the process of healing and in relaxing. Whatever movement you choose, practice being in your body while you do it. Use this as a time to feel your breath and body sensations rather than a time for checking out. This will assist you in being more embodied during all activities in your life, including sex. Breathe. Breathing seems obvious, but it is not. Drop your breath lower in your body so that your diaphragm and chest move when you breathe. Notice when you are holding your breath or breathing shallowly, and breathe deeply again. Treat yourself with dignity. How do you talk to yourself? Do you handle yourself with care and respect? Imagine how you would speak to a young child or a friend who is feeling afraid. You would not yell at her or tell him how stupid he is. Rather, you would be comforting, offering support and guidance. How you treat yourself internally is as important as what you do on the outside. Give yourself lots of acknowledgement. No one ever died from over-acknowledgement. Actively acknowledge yourself for your steps in healing. Notice all the risks you are taking and give yourself support and kudos. Make time for solitude. Solitude is also important to self-care. Make time for yourself weekly. You can use the time to write in a journal, sit quietly, do artwork, meditate, or whatever else serves your process. Incorporate spirituality in your life. Many people also incorporate a spiritual practice or meditation into their lives. A spiritual practice can offer sustenance and a larger perspective to rest within. Meditation can be an excellent way to touch base with yourself, develop discipline, and learn to notice your own emotional processes. It is also a good way to notice what is happening in your body and to feel centered and at peace with yourself. Deal with addictions. alcohol, drugs, food, and self-deprivation. Many survivors have used food, alcohol, drugs, or self-deprivation as a means of coping with sexual abuse. Many also use these substances to try to deal with sex. Some survivors cannot be sexual without getting high. I couldn't have sex unless I was drunk or high. I would feel too out of control and triggered. The alcohol and drugs numbed all that out and gave me a kind of confidence. I had a lot of sex that I wouldn't really want to have today, though. Lords. I used drugs and alcohol to cushion myself from my feelings about the abuse. Alcohol helped me shut down. Alcohol helped me stay in sexually disappointing relationships for such a long time. Max. If you have problems with substance abuse, get help. There are numerous recovery organizations to help you overcome addiction, including innovative programs like Recovery Systems, Inc., a nutrition-based recovery program that attends to the effects of substance abuse and trauma on our physiology. Look in your local phone book for 12-step programs like Alcoholics Anonymous and Overeaters Anonymous, or online, as well as programs that employ numerous other approaches to recovery. See the resources for more information. A little outdated, but it's okay. Community support. Community support includes all of those who offer you love, care, information, guidance, and acceptance along the way. Community support may include friends, partners, coworkers, counselors, and therapists, online buddies, self-help gurus, supportive family members, and community groups. A varied support system offers more flexibility and availability, and a backup if your best friend is not around. Support can be found by gaining referrals in your area from national survivors organizations, speaking with friends and coworkers, checking newspapers and newsletters, visiting internet chat rooms and joining news groups, or developing your own support groups. Get creative in developing support. I needed other women to talk to about my abuse and healing. I'm a ritual abuse survivor, so this was especially terrifying because of the stigma, and because not a lot of people have very good information about it. After a lot of fear, I took a risk and started a ritual abuse peer support group. It is still scary, and it is exactly what I need. Rose. Be clear with your support community about the focus of your healing. People can offer better support if they know what your journey and your goals entail. Let your friends know that you are healing sexually now and that you may need from them. If you are uncertain at this time, you can inform them of your progress. Sex positive support. It has been challenging to find the community that can support me just as I am sexually. I found that my own exploration pushed a lot of people's buttons. I didn't want to be confined by my abuse or society's ideas of how I should be sexually. I think this is scary to people. People lacked information and education. Rebecca. Because most of the information available about sex in our society is negative and incomplete. It is likely that you're going to need to search out positive input about sex and your sexuality and preferences. Everyone can benefit from positive information about human sexuality, the diversity of sexual expression, positive information about human sexuality, the diversity of sexual anatomy, and sexual development. It is likely that your support people, including most trained therapists, will also need sex-positive information. The average physician receives less than 12 hours of sex education during his or her time during medical training. The average therapist, unless specializing in sexual dysfunction, receives less than 9 hours. By comparison, San Francisco sex information requires that potential hotline volunteers complete 56 hours of training in basic human sexuality. This is a thorough training and still barely begins to cover the information, experiences, and dynamics of human sexuality. For the most part, sex-positive information is not institutionalized, but it must be sought out. A sex-positive, non-judgmental attitude will be your most valuable asset in sexual healing. Sex for survivors can be laden with contradictions, guilt, and self-blame. Because sex was used against you as an instrument of harm rather than of healing, it is important to learn about the positive and self-affirming expressions of sex. You need support for exploring your desires at the same time that you are discovering the contradictions in your sexuality. It helps to have friends, counselors, and other supporters who can handle your wildest fantasies right along with the worst pain of your sexual abuse. It can be very damaging to get negative judgments about your sexual exploring, and it can be profoundly healing to find encouragement and acceptance as you become more empowered sexually. Educating yourself and your supporters with sex positive sex information can make all the difference. I'm going to jump in there with my own personal experience because I'm not exactly sure how long this chapter goes on, but it is a lot. We're getting there. But for some of the people that I have been with that gave me a lot of their sexual trauma, like right on, like it was hard for me as the partner to handle a lot of those things, especially since I had to carry it alone in my mind. Like they were getting therapy, I was not about these things, and it's one of those things that, like, if you can find support in this regard, more support than just your partner, do so, and encourage your partner to get support too of some type, because it's not easy to carry these things. Anyway, we're going to continue now. Selecting a therapist or counselor. You are the boss of your own healing. You say how it goes. Although therapists are help along the way, you get to decide what's best for you. You also get to ask for what you want and need from your support people. Your needs are likely to change as you change, so update yourself and your therapist as you proceed. A good therapist for this type of healing work is one who has the capacity to be with you in the midst of the exciting and the ugly. Someone who has done enough work on herself or himself to be able to travel in unknown territories with you. Experience in working with survivors is essential. Get a good sense of the therapist's attitudes about sex. Are her or his attitudes regarding sex strictly conventional? Or can he or she, or they, or whatever, support you in discovering your own sexuality? Watch out for narrow attitudes regarding homosexuality, sadism and masochism, pornography, and stereotypes about women's sexual experiences. Is your therapist familiar with the latest safer sex guides, and is she willing to learn the things she may not know? Most importantly, what kind of feel do you get from this person? Do your instincts say yeah, or well maybe, or even no? Listen to these instincts. While this may be obvious, I feel it is important to state that it is not appropriate for a therapist to have sex with his or her client. If you are invited into sexual contact with your therapist, end this therapeutic relationship and report the therapist to the police and the state licensing board. That is absolutely true. That's completely inappropriate. I can also say, if your therapist is giving you shame about how you are feeling or approaching these things, as long as it's like safe, sane, and consensual between you and another person, your therapist, get their business out of there. It's not their business. But anyway, interviewing a therapist. Here are some questions to ask a therapist you are considering as support for sexual healing. How many hours of training in human sexuality have you had? What do you consider the most important factors in sexual healing? Are you experienced in working with survivors of childhood sexual abuse? How have your clients benefited from working with you? What do you see as the positive aspects of sex and sexual healing? What forms of sexuality do you consider dysfunctional? Do you hold religious beliefs regarding sex? Can you support my sexual healing in a non-judgmental way? What are your boundaries with clients? Are you willing to educate yourself further regarding sex and a sex-positive approach to healing for survivors? Do you have experience working with lesbian and bisexual women or men? Do you have experience working with transgendered clients? How do you feel about S&M, role-playing, porn, and rape fantasies? How do you feel about sex work? How do you feel about non-monogamy and casual sex? And then add your own questions as they may come up, because, again, this is about the way that you define sex, not about how your therapist defines sex. Especially healthy sex, because there's actually a lot of healing that can be found in the bondage community and the S&M community. Somatics, including your body and healing. My work is in somatics, an educational and transformational approach that assumes that the body, mind, and emotions are one interconnected biological system. You are not separate from your body. Rather, yourself is revealed in and throughout your body all the time. Soma is the Greek word for the living body, or thought, spirit, and body as one. Many possibilities come from looking at this body this way. Instead of seeing the body as a carcass that we carry around, the body becomes an alive and intelligent presence. The body is not something to get away from, but a source of wholeness to be returned to and embodied fully. In working with and through the body, trauma can be processed and completed, and pleasure, balance, and present time can be restored. In somatics, the body becomes an inherent and essential part of the change and healing process. In Western cultures, we have inherited a worldview that sees our minds, emotions, and bodies as separate entities. This comes out of Western Cartesian philosophical views and Christian traditions that have considered thinking or mental functioning paramount. Mind over matter, as the saying goes. Some religious beliefs even see the body as essentially sinful, something to be either ignored or controlled. These perspectives have begun to shift in the last 50 years in the West, with more exposure to indigenous and Eastern perspectives. Feminist theory and literature has critiqued this mind-body split and has encouraged a return to the knowledge and life of the body. Starting with Wilhelm who? Reich. Wilhelm Reich. Western philosophers and practitioners have also begun to reintegrate the body and mind. Somatics recognizes an intelligence and life in the body that affects your thinking and your actions. If you change your body or the holding or trauma in your body, then your thinking, your experience of the world, and often your identity will also shift. Why a somatic approach to healing sexually after childhood abuse? Childhood sexual abuse literally touches your body. To leave your body out of the healing process can leave out what is potentially your surest path to well-being. Many survivors of childhood sexual abuse are dissociated or checked out from their bodies. Your body was a dangerous place as a child. Leaving your body then, or dissociating, was an intelligent move. The memories or experiences of the trauma are often still present or held in your body today. Many survivors stay out of their bodies and senses long after the danger has passed to avoid revisiting these stored experiences. Yet your body is also you. It is the place in which you live and are alive. You connect and are in relationships with others from your body. You act in the world from your body. Your body is where the healing from trauma and abuse happens. Your body is also where you experience sensual and sexual pleasure. To experience all of these pleasures, however, you must also be in your body or embodied. Attending to the process of re-embodying is essential to sexual healing. I know it sounds strange, but building your tolerance for being in your body and experiencing physical pleasure is a central component of this healing. This is an intentional practice, especially in the beginning. After childhood sexual abuse, pleasure may be unfamiliar or uncomfortable to you. I was surprised the first time I could stay present and embodied while my lover went down on me. It was like, oh, this feels good. That's why people do this. Carolyn. Knowing your boundaries and having the ability to consent is also an embodied experience. If you are dissociated during sex, it is very difficult to know if you want to stop or go further, or what sexual activities you want to consent to or invite. Traditional psychoanalysis tends to focus on the mental processes, assuming that the body will come along for the ride. This type of therapy has its place and can be useful for many, yet it can fall short of truly transforming the deep impact of sexual trauma. Most people have the experience of thinking one thing and doing another, even when they do not mean to. Getting it mentally does not necessarily translate into new ways of being or different actions. There can be an innocent incoherence between your thinking and your body, because understanding something is different from embodying it. I know what I want sexually. I've read the books and have lots of ideas. But still, when I get there, my body freezes. It's like I can't keep track of what year it is, and I'm not a kid at home in my bed anymore. Naomi. What I see in my work with survivors is that when they embody, when they return to life in their body and their sensations, a type of self-generated healing begins to happen. It is as if the body has not only a physical immune system, but also an emotional and spiritual immune system or intelligence that orients towards the health and balance. When you are dissociated from or ignore the body, this immune system does not function well. When the body is included, when the focus is on embodiment, the signs, signals, and functioning of this balancing system comes into full swing. I have come to see the body, mind, and emotions as healing, self-healing organisms when given the right conditions. Embodiment is one of these conditions. I encourage including a body-based or somatic component to one's healing. I have found it is one of the most self-efficient ways to process the abuse and release triggers. As you transform on the somatic level, the trauma is literally shifted and released, and you are able to live in the present time, instead of being trapped in history, rage, or depression. Somatics can help align your thinking, experience, and actions, bringing a sense of internal congruence. There are a variety of somatic tools and modalities, including Strozzi Institute, Rubenfield Synergy, and Somatic Experiencing. Don't know if those are still going. Further information can be found in the resources at the end of the book. Other options for embodiment practices include dancing, martial arts, and body-focused meditation. Any practice that brings you regularly into your body and the sensations, feelings, and life of your body is useful. Safer sex. No chapter on safety in a sexual healing book would be complete without a discussion of safer sex. Safer sex is the practice of using barriers or limiting sexual activities to prevent the passage of bodily fluids from one person to another. Safer sex techniques are used to prevent sexually transmitted diseases, including herpes, genitals, warts, HIV, chlamydia, and many others. The use of condoms is also effective in preventing pregnancy. Everybody should know this. But if you don't, yes, use condoms. Use a barrier. Most safer sex barriers, such as condoms, latex gloves, dental dams, and female condoms, are made of latex, although there are often others made from polyurethane and nitrile for folks who have allergies to latex. Lambskin condoms do not prevent HIV transmission, since the virus is small enough to pass through the membrane, and are not recommended for safer sex. For many, plastic food wrap is the barrier of choice for cunnilingus and analingus, as it is cheap, readily available, and easier to use than dental dams. I've done it. It's okay. Don't forget the lubricant. Use a water-based lubricant with latex and other barriers. It will make the whole experience a lot more enjoyable. Water-based lubricant helps tremendously with the glide factor and increases sensitivity. Put some lubricant in the tip of the condom for the wearer and on the outside for more glide. Use lubricant on the receiver's side of the dental dam or plastic wrap during oral sex, and on the outside of the latex glove for a smoother touch. Lubricants containing oil can weaken latex. Thus, Crisco, Vaseline, and other oil-based lubricants are not recommended for condoms or any other latex-based products, since they encourage the use of latex in preventing STDs. I recommended only using water-based lubricants. That's true. Water-based lubricants, they do make them for anal toys and anal play. Assess your risk. A lot of people speak of risk factors when discussing safer sex. To assess risk, you need to consider your own risk factors, those of your partners and of the particular sexual acts you engage in. You can then choose what risks you feel are worth taking. To assess your risk, consider the number of partners with whom you have had unprotected sex, the number of partners they may have had with unprotected sex with, the risk level of your sexual activities, your intravenous drug activities history, your partner's drug history, especially with intravenous, which means injections, and if you currently have any STDs. The more partners with you have unprotected sex, the greater your risk levels. If you have used intravenous drugs, this also increases your risk. Of course, if you enjoy high-risk sexual activities, for instance, unprotected anal intercourse, you should consider yourself at a higher risk. Just so everybody knows, we had this issue before. HPV is, concerning, you know what I mean? But it's also, everybody's got some kind of HPV. It doesn't necessarily mean genitals all the time. And it's 99% of the time harmless. If you have any STDs or immune deficiency disorders, you are at higher risk. And you may want to err on the side of caution in your sexual practices to keep yourself well. Even if you are HIV positive, you need to practice safer sex. First, having one strand of the HIV virus does not make you resistant to others. Second, exposure to other STDs can damage an already compromised immune system. When assessing your risk factors, remember that there is no guarantee that your partner is monogamous. Given the lack of permission to speak openly about multiple sexual partners, Many people lie about it. Some people regularly have sex outside of a primary relationship without ever telling anyone. Your health is in your hands. While I am not asking you to be skeptical, I am encouraging you to be aware that you may not know all of your partner's sex history or current sexual practices. Have a conversation with your partner about safer sex and his or her sex and drug use history. The best bet is to ask your partner to get tested for HIV and other STDs before you have sex together. Remember that HIV will probably not show up on tests for several months after exposure. A good practice is to get tested for HIV once every 6 months. Play safe. Some sexual practices are riskier than others. Semen and blood carry the highest concentration of the HIV virus, which can enter your bloodstream via small lacerations in the mouth, anus, or vaginal tissues, or abrasions on the skin. Don't forget that HIV can also be present in pre-cum and menstrual blood. Other STDs, like herpes, can be transmitted through contact with open sores. However, just because you don't see an open sore on your partner's genitals does not mean you are free from risk. Some STDs, like HPV, are often symptom-free, and herpes can be transmitted just prior to an outbreak. HPV, the virus that causes genital warts, has also been linked to cervical cancer, and that's in certain instances. That's a little alarmist. High-risk sexual activities include unprotected cunnilingus during menstruation, going down on someone during their period, unprotected anal intercourse, and rimming, mouth-to-anus sex, and unprotected vagina-penis intercourse. Vaginal fluids carry a lower concentration of HIV, so medium-risk behaviors include unprotected cunnilingus when a woman is not bleeding, unprotected fellatio, giving head, and finger-fucking or fisting without a glove. Low-risk behaviors include French kissing, wet kissing, hand jobs, protected penetration, and protected oral sex. Sexual behaviors that are risk-free include tribadism, dry humping, fantasy masturbation, only touching yourself, voyeurism, and exhibition, watching or being watched. Phone sex and computer sex are also sexual activities free of the risk of STDs. Use condoms on dildos, vibrators, and sex toys. Do not share your toys without changing the condom or cleaning them with an antibacterial cleaner. Remember that any toy you've used for anal play requires a fresh condom before you use it for vaginal play. Yeah, do that. Check yourself out. Get a regular pelvic exam for your reproductive and sexual health. I know this is challenging for many survivors, but it is a must-do, and a challenge worth taking on. Take a supportive friend with you. Advocate for yourself until you find a gynecologist who will listen to your needs. Your long-term health, including the prevention or early detection of cancer, depends on you taking care of yourself in this way. You can begin by getting tested for HIV and other STDs. You can find free confidential testing in most cities through hospitals and STD clinics. Check your yellow pages in local newspapers. Ask your gynecologist to test you for STDs like herpes and chlamydia. We'll see how that goes with Trump. Make it sexy. Many people are uncomfortable with using barriers at first. The best way to get comfortable with using barriers is to go out and buy a bunch, bring them home, and play with them. Open the packages of condoms, female condoms, gloves, or dental dams, and check them out. How do they feel, smell, and taste? Become familiar with them. You'll lose your inhibitions. Practicing at home is often easier than practicing on your date. You can also eroticize latex and other safer sex barriers. Soon the sound of your partner snapping on a latex glove will evoke memories of a very good time. Try including safer sex in your fantasies. How many ways can you find ways to make latex sexy? Welcome out of the. This is the transition. The chapter's about to end, but getting started. Welcome to continuing journey. The sex guide exercises at the end of each chapter are designed to help you personalize and make use of the information in each chapter. They will help you walk through the process of sexual healing. I encourage you to share your processes and discoveries with at least one other person. You can share your responses to the exercises or do them together. I think survivors who have done their healing have some of the best sex lives around. We have to look at and deal with, heal, and redefine sex for ourselves. We do all the healing work that most people really need to do, survivors or not. Stephanie. Sex guide exercises. Reflect on the following questions. Write about them in your journal and have a conversation with them about them with a support person. Do you have a pen? Do you have a pencil? This would be a nice time to grab one if you want to write these down. I'll try to go slow. 1. Why heal sexually? What do you want to gain from it? How will your life be different and more satisfying? How will you know when you've gotten what you want? 2. What is safety to you? What is the difference between safety and comfort? What are examples of experiences in which you were safe yet uncomfortable? 3. Practice building an internal sense of safety. What sensations and feelings in your body give you a sense of safety, settledness, or resourcefulness? Where do you feel that now? 4. What support do you have now to assist you in your sexual healing? A. Self-care, journal writing, positive self-talk, ability to feel your emotions, eating well, and exercising, somatic practices, spiritual practice. B. Community support, peer support group, therapist, friends you can talk to about sex and recovery, a really supportive Facebook group that we happen to run. 5. What do you need to support your sexual healing? What actions can you take to build this network of support? Think big. Go beyond the bare minimum requirements for survival. Imagine having all the support you could possibly use. What would that be? 6. Take a look at your own attitudes and biases regarding sex. Make a list of what you think is healthy and what is not healthy regarding consensual sex. Discuss your list with a friend. Be sure to include issues of sexual orientation, what you consider appropriate sexual expression for women, fantasy, monogamy, and non-monogamy, abstinence, anal sex, religious beliefs, bondage, sadomasochism, cross-dressing, etc. This is an opportunity to explore your own beliefs about sex and sexual expression. Where do these ideas about sex come from? Where did you learn about what you believe? Is there more for you to learn about anything on your list? Do you know anyone who practices any of the consensual activities that you listed as not healthy? This is an opportunity to explore and learn more about your own beliefs and values that you want to keep, those you want to keep, and those you may want to change. Now, I know I just talked a bunch and my mouth is tired, believe me. You can probably tell I'm out of spit. But this is, again, a very good start, I think, for a lot of people to take an inventory about what sex means to them, what sex looks like to them, what good sex looks like, what bad sex looks like, so on and so forth. So I hope that you're going to get something out of this, especially since I just talked for an hour. But I really think this is all very valuable information, and I tried to convey it with as much dignity as possible. Again, I have experience. I went through this book myself, all by myself. I did not have a support network where I could talk to other people about how to help support my people through this. And it was challenging, it was a lot to navigate, but I did it, and I can help you do it too, especially if you're the one who's currently going through this. There is resources and help and other people like you out there, and I hope you're well. Big hugs.